From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
Miss Vicki.
Yes, sir.
You know what?
What?
I've been thinking about this Sentinel system.
Yeah. Tell me about the Sentinel system.
So what I was thinking was, we have the one car that's got the aim dash that's slowing us down. Because installing the aim dash is actually, it probably is easy, but it's quite hard the first time. We haven't figured that out yet. The Sentinel system is really easy to set up. So what I was thinking was, why don't we put it in the Lemons car, and we'll worry about the aim data information separately, and we'll kind of break it down into a project, because then we'd have the motorsports video system that we really, really want, and we'd be able to stream it. We just won't have the data inside, but we have the data outside, so we can combine them later. But I think that's a really good solution.
So what does this Sentinel system do?
Well, if it had the aim data, it would have all the data on the screen, and you could see all their telemetry and everything live. But we'd be able to not only record it for viewing after the race, but we could actually watch our car during the race.
Ooh, like on the monitor and everything?
On a monitor, if you were at home and I was at a track, or if you were at the track and I was at home, depends on who gets the short straw, but we'd be able to watch each other.
It's something I've always wanted to do.
And you know what? If you're driving, you know what you can do on the Sentinel system?
What's that?
You can communicate to me with your hands, and I can't do a thing about it.
Even better.
So, if you need to give a wave or a Jersey wave, whatever you need, we could save it and see it on the screen. And then you can have up to 3 different cameras, and it'll have picture in picture. You'll have the basic main shot out the front window, and then 2 cameras where you put them wherever you want. One could be on the driver, or one could be on the rear view. It's kind of cool.
Then we can upload it onto YouTube.
We could bore millions of people on YouTube.
I love it.
All right. Very well. You know what the only downside I see about this?
What?
Your mom and my mom are going to be panic stricken the entire weekend watching this thing to see if everything's going well.
This is true.
We probably shouldn't tell them.
I like the idea of having a Sentinel.
Mm-hmm. Well, luckily we have maybe 2. Depends on how things go. We're going to try. All right. That sounds like a plan. That's the project. We got to get that ready for the next race.
Sounds great.
All right. Very well. Thank you, ma'am. Ben Dawson. We need some Ben Dawson to do Dominate with Dawson, because it just doesn't work without you, man.
Well, let's do it. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. So I was watching some racing on TV. I didn't get to the fun parts of a video that one of the co-hosts here sent me, but I started thinking about it, and it applies to track driving as well as I think it probably applies more to autocrossing. But how do you know when to balance a higher speed versus a shorter distance?
That's a good question.
I know what my answer is, but it's going to be the world's shortest Dominating with Dawson if that's the only answer we have.
Well, I'm trying to think of places where that's pretty applicable. One of the places I can think of is, of course, at my home track at VIR. I'm going to talk about that, but there's a set of 2 corners that both combine called the Oak Tree Complex, and cars that typically carry more speed than momentum cars, like maybe if you're driving a Corvette or a Viper or something. A lot of times those cars will kind of rim ride the first of the two corners and then pull in for the apex of the second one to get down to the long back stretch at VIR. So they kind of rim ride and prioritize speed while carrying a kind of a wider arc around that first set of the corner. So they don't optimize distance. They choose to optimize that speed and then do a ton of braking as they come in. The sort of the momentum line through there is to take a tighter line through both of the corners. And you may not be as quick, but you can rotate the car quicker and get back on the gas. So in some instances, you're already back on the gas while the guy in the Viper is still slowing down and getting turned. So I think maybe some of the reasons to prioritize speed over distance might be, if your main goal is out there in a Miata, just to maintain as much momentum as you can, and if you can rotate the car and keep a shorter distance, then that might be a time where you would want to prioritize cutting distance over being the fastest guy wheeling through there, because you might not be able to be the fastest no matter how much you want to be.
Right. Miss Vicki, does this make sense to you?
Nope, not one bit.
Okay. All right. Let's go to, do you want to do pit race or do you want to do NJMP Lightning?
Let's ride the Lightning.
Yeah, let's do Lightning because it's kind of like the home HPDE track we seem to always end up on.
Okay. When you're down at the bowl, the big carousel turn, I think it's turn 9, if I remember right, my numbers. How do you know what line to take through there? Do you try and shorten the distance, meaning you need to go a little slower? Like, do you hug the inside of that turn the whole way around? Or do you go all the way outside and then bring it on in and try and keep your speed up as much as you can? Or do you do something in between? That's kind of what we're talking about. How do you know?
When I'm on Lightning and I'm in turn 9, I actually start out wide and then almost like cut it. So I end up a little bit wide and then I come in and I touch the inside and I straighten it out. Okay. And I drive straight out.
Okay. For those of our listeners at home who listened to the Ken Hill podcast that you were on, that is incorrect.
I don't hug the inside. Am I supposed to hug the inside?
No, but can't with the okay. So let's go back and do the generality, and then we'll worry about turn 9 later. Okay. In general, as far as I know, the only way to determine when you should shorten the distance or maximize your speed is to try both and see which one goes faster.
Oh,
yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, the only reason why I do it is because I've already been doing it. I've already been instructing to do it. So that's what I found works for me.
Right.
My bad.
Right. So the correct answer for Lightning turn 9 per Ken Hill, who has done all the experiments in a variety of different cars and motorcycles, is to start wide, go straight at it, cutting the inside so that you're braking in a straight line, but carrying the farthest distance and going up the hill and then turning, not staying wide and kind of gentle arcing. It's almost a diamond. Almost.
Oh, he wants you to go in? Wait, what? Say that again.
Start wide, turn in early, go straight, keep going straight while braking in a straight line, heading towards the middle of the turn, and then slow down and then turn in there and go all the way around. Yeah, so like a diamond. I can't draw a picture for you.
No, I can't. And I'm having a real hard time. But that's fine. Just keep going with it because you and I are going to be having a talk later about this.
Okay.
Only because I can't visualize it.
I know. I got you. So I think it's more appropriate to think about this in at least for my brain, is to think about this in terms of an autocross. When do you have a nice swooping curve and when do you cut the corner or stay tight to the corner? And most of the time in autocross, due to the speeds, you're going to want to shorten distance while sacrificing a little bit of car speed, because that'll end up being the fastest way to go through. It's not always true, but it tends to be that way. And whereas on a track, some of the turn complexes especially can get a little bit more complicated. That make any sense to you, Ben?
Yeah. I do kind of lose entire focus anytime somebody starts talking about anything about autocross. But
come back to me, Ben.
But yeah, I mean, an autocross.
Ben,
there's nothing against you autocrossers out there.
No, but I mean, I can think of a big slalom section. You're going to want to prioritize speed, but going through a couple of opposite, like, well, what do they call those things, like Chicago boxes or something like that?
Yeah, Chicago
where it's
box,
pretty tight section or something like that. You probably just want to chop through there with the smallest amount of distance and the biggest rotations that you can. But is that sort of what we're talking about?
Yeah. It's when you give up a little bit of distance for a little bit of speed, or when you try to sacrifice a little bit of speed for less distance.
Yeah, and you know what? That's funny. So this sort of brings me back to those old days of, I hate to admit that I ever used to walk tracks, because I'm so anti-track walk. But when you do autocross, you really do want to have a chance to go walk the course for real a couple of times. They're really putting your feet where you want to be putting the car. We'd be walking around talking about it, and it would always come down to, well, you got to kind of eat crap here, speed wise, because you want to maximize this next thing. So it was like a little mini planning session. Like we always talk about prioritizing this type of turn and that type of turn at the track. And autocross is a microcosm of that in some ways. So that is taking me back to old course walks on autocross, going like, yeah, well, I'm gonna have to eat it right here, but that'll make you faster over here if I go ahead and take my medicine at this part of this complex. Does that make sense? Is that sort of what you're talking about?
Yeah. And then there's other times like where you might not go all the way track out because you got to turn in to the next turn, or you don't need to. You were full throttle, you carried as much speed as you could, you just don't need all that track, so why give away the distance? And just it's equal. It applies equally to both, but I always, for some reason, my go-to is autocross with the distance versus speed trade-off. And as far as I know, looking at a track map, I can't tell.
You can't look at a track map and think like, oh, this is the place around there. You need to be there to figure it out in person. Is that what you're meaning?
I kind of need to try it. I'll try both, and see which one feels better, which one gives me more options, which one gives me faster time. It's a combination of things. And honestly, I'm probably, I don't know that I may just not be good enough at reading track maps to be able to tell these things, but it's not something I can intuitively see. If you can see it, please write into garageairsandtraining@gmail.com. But that's kind of where I'm at least as far as my journey goes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Miss Vicki, is that getting clearer to you, or you still got the puzzled face?
I'm just having a hard time visualizing it. That's all.
Okay, let's go back to lightning again. Turn 5, up and over the hill.
Yeah.
Do you go all the way out to the left and then come all the way to the right?
Nope.
Okay, so you're sacrificing some speed to shorten the distance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do you know that's the fastest way?
No, I do not.
Okay. If you said yes, I was going to ask you how you know it's the fastest way, because
I would have to test both. But
I think so.
Just driving. I mean, I think sometimes it depends on the car that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes things handle a little better. But I was kind of taught to kind of go out and probably mid-track, maybe a little bit, and then kind of come across the top of it at the apex, and then track out. It's not kind of like a diamond, but then to track out to the far end of the track and then come back
for 6.
Yeah come back to the inside. That's how I was taught to do it.
Okay, but that is one part we didn't cover, though, is it's car dependent,
right?
Yes,
sure. Depends on how your car interacts with the track and how it rotates and from which end is most likely motivated from, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And how much motivation it carries.
Yeah.
How heavy is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because working a Miata on that little tight turn off camber, it definitely is easier than I would say coming in with a vet or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Depends. It all depends, because you've got a balance between the turning capability and stopping capability versus the acceleration capability.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those things matter. Sometimes they don't. It's like sometimes there's one way, and then many times there's not. The one thing I'm happy that nobody said is because that's what my instructor said. That is not how you know the fastest way around the track.
That is not how you know.
Right.
Yes. So very well. Have we beaten that one up?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. All right. Very well.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you guys for having me.
No. Thank you.